Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Side Hustle Crafter. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this pretty flower ornament made out of air dry foam clay, fake sprinkles, some glitter, and some ribbon. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with the yellow clay, and I'm going to warm this up in my hands. This is air dry foam clay. I'm going to warm it up and then I'm going to roll it out. And when I roll it out, I'm going to leave it pretty thick because we want the back of that flower to be nice and sturdy, because if you have a thin layer of clay, it could curl up on you. Now I have this flower-shaped cookie cutter that I'm going to use, and I'm just applying some oil to it so the clay doesn't stick. And we're just going to press down on the cookie cutter and then pull away all of our extra clay from the sides. And you want to get your clay right back in the bag so that it doesn't dry out. I'm just going to release the clay now from that cookie cutter. And this looks really good. So you can see it's nice and thick. It's a good base for that flower ornament. Next up, we're going to take the pink clay, or actually any colors you'd like. I chose yellow and pink today, but you can choose any colors. So same thing, we're going to warm up the clay. It's air dry foam clay. We're going to roll it out, and now we're going to take that same cookie cutter and we're just going to repeat the step that we did for the yellow clay. I'm going to release the pink clay from the cookie cutter, and the thickness does not have to be the same as the yellow. So this is just your top layer. You can see it's a little bit thinner than the bottom layer. We don't have to worry about the top layer curling up because we've got that solid base. Now I'm going to take my water bottle and spray the yellow clay just a little bit, the base of the flower. I'm going to spray that so that I can then put my pink flower on top. You can also, if you'd like, you can let your yellow flower, the bottom of it, dry, and then later you can take some clear tacky glue or some school glue, and you can roll out the pink clay later, and with that wet pink clay, put it on top of the yellow with a little bit of tacky glue. That will help the two pieces from peeling apart or kind of lifting apart. Sometimes when you put wet clay on top of wet clay, it can kind of lift away from each other. But to keep things moving in this tutorial, I'm just going to use the water and put the wet clay on top of the wet clay. And now we're going to take the pink piece of the flower and lay it right on top of the yellow and just line it up as best you can, and then softly pat it down to get the two pieces to stick together. And I'd like to make this flower an ornament so that it can be hung. You can also make it a magnet. You can throw some magnets on the back, but today I'd like to make this an ornament. So I'm going to use my dotting tool just to poke a hole through both layers of the clay. So you have to push it through the front and then kind of turn it, clean it up a little bit. Just make sure that you're going to be able to get your ribbon right through that hole. Now I'm going to take some green air dry foam clay, and I'm going to warm that up in my hands and roll it out. And what I'm going to make here are the petals to the two flowers that will sit on top of the big flower. So I'm just taking a little bit of this clay, just trying to measure it as best I can, roll it out, and then I'm just going to cut it in half with my ruler. And again, I'm going to use some water just to spray the top of that flower so that these stems will stick to the clay. Likely it will stick because all the clay that I'm using is still pretty wet, but just for a little bit of extra safety. And then I'm going to take my ruler and put a little bit of pressure in the center of each of these pieces of green clay just to make a little seam for the stems. Then I'm going to place each of these stems onto the pink clay. And then I realized they were a little bit too long, so I'm just taking my ruler to clean up the edges a little bit, and then I'm going to try to cut a little bit off of the top of each of those. Then I'll take my silicone mold that I have that has some tiny flowers, some leaves, and some baby roses, and I'm just going to pick one of the leaves and add a little oil to it, and then I'm going to make about 4 of these green leaves to put on each side of the stems. Now I'm going to grab 2 silicone molds. They're both roses, 2 different sizes, and I chose 3 different colors to make these roses with. So purple, white, and yellow. And what I'm going to do is just place a little bit of each color in each of these molds. And then once we demold them, you'll see how pretty they come out. And here I put a little bit too much in, so I'm just going to grab my scissors and cut a little bit of clay off the top. And then still I had too much, so I had to do that a couple times. So I'm just going to loosen up the sides of the silicone mold, flip it over, and then just pop it out from the back. And look how pretty this came out. Here I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put the roses, and I'm going to spray again with water just to ensure that the clay does stick to the top of the flower. And this is so pretty, so I'm going to do that with both of these, the larger and the smaller flowers or roses, and then place them wherever you want, and then just gently push down on them just to make sure that they're going to stick. Next up, I'm going to take some clear tacky glue and just paint that on the pink flower, and I'm going to go in with some pastel sprinkles on top of that once I get the glue all painted on. And then just start adding your sprinkles anywhere you'd like. And again, any colors, it doesn't have to be even these sprinkles. If you have little decorations or tiny flower decorations, you can really put anything here on the side. I just chose these sprinkles because I thought they were so pretty and they go nicely with the colors that we have going on so far. So with the glue still wet, I'm going to grab some fine glitter. I am going to spray the roses and the stems just to make sure that the glitter sticks. And then I'm going to glitter the whole top of the flower, as much or as little as you'd like. And I added a yellow ribbon right through that hole that we made earlier, so that this can be used as an hanging ornament. But like I said, you can add magnets to the back if you want to turn it into a magnet, or you actually don't even have to do anything. You can just leave it as is and lean it up against something. I think this would make a really nice Mother's Day gift.